players, the personalities who come from around the world to play professional soccer in the United States.
In a world where some call it football, football, or soccer, they dare to call it foosball. One thinks New York is blue, the other thinks New York is red. Soccer in America from a German perspective. Let them put some sauerkraut on your hot dog and join them for the Schnitzel Boys USA Hour.
Yes, that's right. We're going to put some sauerkraut on your hot dog, people.
Like the hot dog with some sauerkraut on it. Northern style sauerkraut, none of that southern sweet stuff. The northern sour stuff.
I agree.
We bought Bavarian sauerkraut from Aldi or something once, and it was just really sweet.
Yeah, it can be, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Apparently it's sweet in the south. Not from where we're from. Up north it's sauerkraut, and it's sour.
Sauerkraut. Anyway, this is the USA Hour. And MLS season is 3 games old. And there was an article in The Athletic today saying it's really too soon to panic after 3 games, unless you are an NYCFC fan. And in that case, you should panic. That's what The Athletic told me today. So I am panicking.
Well, NYCFC,
like The Athletic told me to.
Overdrive. Like every post is like, why haven't Cushing isn't fired? Is he going to get fired now? Was it she been fired yet? And I was like, Bjorn is always the most level-headed fan. So I'm gonna check with Bjorn. Bjorn, are you? But right before the broadcast, what did you do? You checked Twitter to see if he was fired or not.
To see if he's still employed. Yeah. I mean, this was the Blue Balls podcast Twitter account was saying that this was our second most embarrassing game ever, this home opener. And I think
behind the Red Wedding,
right, yeah, the 0-7 at home to the Red Bulls obviously being number 1, which was a long time ago at this point. But I think so. I mean, I was like, that can't be. We've had worse. But then I was struggling we had not lost a home opener before. We've never started the year with 3 losses. And yeah, this was it was kind of surreal as to how, and sort of inexplicable in a way, because the team came out strong and had a very strong first half, scored 1 goal, and then just kind of packed it in. And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's not like Portland was so good or you felt like, oh, these guys are crushing, but it was just like, there's just an inevitability to it. There was like, I mean, I didn't think necessarily we're going to lose it, but certainly the equalizer was like, yeah, that was kind of coming. And then, this literally, it was like 6.5 minutes into the stoppage time. That was supposed to be 6 minutes. I'm not going to, just an aside, not that I'm going to be like ragging on the scab refs, but there were a lot of offside calls. Obviously, from my position, I couldn't say, but there was some questions. Anyway, everything was offside. And
you were there live. I
was there live.
I watched the highlights because I saw first. Let me do you my order real quick. I saw all the Twitter and the MLS Reddit like explosions going on. Be like Cushing out, worst, blah 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 blah. So then with that in mind, I watched the highlights, and for the first half, I saw the Munzar Bakrar show. Right?
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Goal, but he missed. He got some close several times.
Missed some sitters. He scored a goal that was then called off for offside, which I don't know. I haven't seen the replay. I guess also we're going to get into the state run. The state run media just decided to not show any replays.
Right. We'll get into that later.
This weekend. That was another. I mean, I just heard about this after because I was in the stadium. Yeah, and then what's the guy's name? Emerson?
I have no idea. He's
the
one of your
Portland
players.
guy. Then 6.5 minutes into a stoppage time that was supposed to be 6 minutes.
Yes. What's his name? One of the Medina? No, one of the.
No,
Portland guys.
Emmer. Oh my
Highlander,
God.
right? Or something like that.
What? He's Brazilian. Portland.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so and then what I saw was Portland get an equalizer, and then Portland scoring a winner at the death.
Yeah, Evander is the name of the man. Yeah. Evander just uncorked a shot from from sort of diagonally outside the box, and it just dropped in, and it was just like, oh yeah, it was like it was this weird combination of inevitability and disbelief. It's like, I cannot believe this happened, and of course this happened. At the same time. And
so what's going on? Why did they score one goal and then...
What is going on? Well, if you ask, it depends on who you ask. We had a I think calling it a feud is perhaps overstating it. We'll find out in the coming days. Keaton Parks, again, Blue Balls podcast, Trey Fillmore gets full credit for this. He was talking to Keaton Parks after the game, and I guess sort of casually, and Keaton Parks was saying, we just have too many young guys who don't know how to. He used some F-bombs and S words, and the young guys don't know how to put away game, and we also are just sort of basking in these 1-0 leads. And he also said that Hannes Wolf is a great player, and he wished that he had been around more. Hannes Wolf was one of the first substitutions. I had that question too. Why is he coming out and not Santi Rodriguez? Yeah, it's a little bit of and then Cushing in his press conference said that he brought in Justin Hack as a defensive midfielder because he thought that Keaton Parks and Pereira were being too soft in the midfield. Kind of somewhat of an unkind thing to say. So I don't know. Things are not well. And another thing that really, I have not been, I'm not one to call for the coach's head prematurely, and I have not been chanting. I don't chant Cushing out or anything like that. But it is hard to. I mean, he is now his points per game average is definitely approaching Jason Christ territory. He sounds like somebody who's sort of very defensive. It's like, I think he's a good. His words don't match his actions. Like he said, "Oh, we want to press high, we want to play attacking football. That's what our fans want to see." And then he brings in Justin Hack for an attacker, and it was just the team is just scared. I guess that's not entirely his fault. There's also obviously a lack of confidence now that there's all this, that they're in this malaise. So, and it's a very young team. It's not all on him, but I mean, he obviously last season the word was he doesn't have a full squad. They are missing. That is not the case. The squad is good. The players have talent. We have this backup number 9 who looks like he's ready to tussle. Hannes Wolf is looking very good. He almost he uncorked a half volley that was very impressive that only missed the goal by inches. And so there's a lot of talent there now. The team is deep, and so this is not gonna last that much longer. He cannot keep. He's not gonna keep his job losing like this.
Well, my thing is, like you said, last season they had a big sort of post-mortem, and it was like our scouting was off. We didn't replace the players that left. They were just
slow. They were slow to replace. People came late, and then
off season you got a lot of Serbians. Mm-hmm. We got the guys, and so you bought the reinforcements, and you were expecting. I know I was. You're expecting a bang. Right? You're expecting an opening bang. You're expecting the game. It's like, well, now we got our guys. Let's do it. And all that's happening is just extending the same malaise from last year. It looks like it's getting worse, right?
It's definitely worse because the team. I mean, we were averaging 2 points per game after the reinforcement. We know there wasn't a lot of. That was another that was another thing that I would mention in his favor, that there wasn't a lot, because of the Leagues Cup, after the summer window, there wasn't a lot of season left. You know, we only had like 8 games. You know, you think of the summer window as like halfway through the season. That was not the case. It was like 3/4 into the season. So because of the Leagues Cup, so we only had 8 games, and we got 16 points out of those 8 games. So that's a playoff. I mean, they were also, this schedule was a little soft. Anyway, right now we're in a home. We have, I think, 5 out of the next 7 games are at home, because our schedule is always weird because the stadiums are not available. So we have a lot of home games coming. So we're gonna find out. This is gonna turn very quickly, or I don't see how he's gonna. I mean, yeah, the fans are.
Coaching watch, but it's Monday. If you're gonna fire him, you fire him today, right?
Today was today. I guess he has. I guess, yeah. I that's my that's my takeaway too. He's gonna get another game. I mean, you can't really. Can you fire somebody like? I mean, we're playing Toronto. Toronto all of a sudden are looking good. Last season, that was an automatic 3. Toronto. So the couple of Toronto games were like
Did
the
you
ones
see
where
the
we.
goal over the weekend? You see the big moment, the Insigne.
Yeah. Insigne's got
And then
everybody's.
you know what was important about that moment, Bjorn? Insigne running off the field and him and John Herdman hugging like they're like long lost brothers. You see that?
I mean,
That is a clue.
everything old is new again in Toronto.
I mean, Toronto had a kind of a quiet offseason. Not much happened. They got the John Herdman.
Yeah, it was a big question mark. It's like, how are they gonna? But
and
yeah,
for John Herdman, the mission was very simple. You have, before Messi, Lorenzo Insigne was by far the highest paid player in MLS history, big superstar. Figure him out, get him back to where he is, and figure out Bernardeschi too. Make him become friends. Get the vape out of Bernardeschi's hands. Whatever. He needed to solve the Bernardeschi Insigne thing. And what we saw over the weekend, we saw Insigne score a rocket of a goal from outside the box, him running off the field, and him and Herdman cheering with the fans. Like, I think some solving is happening up there. I think the locker room's in a better shape. I think they're playing for their coach, and maybe they're starting to figure stuff out up there in Toronto. So it's interesting to see. We'll get to see them firsthand against you guys over the weekend.
yeah. So that's gonna be a big game. Hopefully it'll be a little warmer too. It was rainy, and I mean, this was the other.
Philadelphia at the end of the game.
Yeah, and we had some. I mean, it wasn't like torrential, but it was pretty. By the end of it, I was pretty cold, and but we were still. I mean, it is still just such a pleasure though for the season to start. I mean, this was like, I brought my son, a bunch of friends. Like some people came along who don't always go. They were like 25,000 announced crowd. That's pretty good, and. I mean, it was just, and we were all like, yeah, it's only going to get better. The weather, the performance, like it can't get much worse. But it was still, I mean, it was just still a fun, great afternoon. It was nice that the game was at 2. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it on Saturday. I'm all in to this new season. I am curious about
who the next coach is going to be, right?
Who the next coach is going to be. Yeah.
Is it going to be Juan Carlos Osorio, my pitch? Or is it going to be Hans Backe?
Hans Backe, my guess.
Credits.
Who is, like, can we even find him? Do we even know who he is?
I think he's retired. He's long retired. After Red Bulls, I think he was a commentator in Sweden, like for TV. And he's still doing that, or he's retired. But Hans Backe had 3 of the same credits. I didn't realize that after the broadcast last week. I was like, oh yeah, Hans Backe was also assistant at Man City.
Thank you, yeah, for
the national team, and also was a former head coach of the New York Red Bulls. So dang.
I mean, it was. I did not know those things. You're giving, but I appreciate you giving my guess more credit that it deserves. I don't know. I mean, CFG has a big. Obviously, they're a big operation. I don't know who's going to be next. I did not know who Ronnie Dyla was before he came. I did not know who Dama Torrent was, and so I'm sure they'll find somebody.
Who's the Man City women's coach now? Look him up, and there you go.
I don't know.
Next coach. Well, there are 2 teams in New York City, Bjorn. Do you know
that? No, there are not. The other team is in New Jersey.
Well, it's part of the New York metropolitan area. Okay.
Okay.
Well, there's 2 teams in New York. One trains in Orangeburg, New York, The other trains in Hanover, New Jersey. Okay, so they're both
Okay,
plugging in
so
Metro
that's
America.
one of them is New York and the other one is New Jersey.
Yeah, but it's upstate.
It's not.
Anyway,
It's not ambiguous. It's yeah.
one
don't
plays
know.
in the same. One plays down the street from the New York Giants and New York Jets play. Okay, so there's the New York Red Bulls.
Yeah.
They are doing pretty.
You're Forsberg. Greatest
I-
signing.
I had two photos I was going to put up. One is a heroic shot of ML Forsberg when in the downpour rain in New Jersey, just like cheering like a victorious Viking that he is.
Have you sent that guy a card yet? The
I tried to, but
the apology letter. Is your apology letter in the mail to the poor Coachella commentator
I have a FedEx.
that you dragged for no reason?
I have a FedEx carrier. I hired a guy. I'm hiring a guy. I'm private jetting it right to his.
That's not necessary.
My tears are the letters.
That's
drenched.
not. That's not necessary. That's not necessary. Just write the letter.
I put an Outback Steakhouse gift card. I was like, get a steak on me. Had a show of apology.
Okay.
Surf and turf, whatever you want.
It's only right. It's only right.
Get the bloomin' onion.
It's only right. That probably triples his annual salary.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes, he's going to have to. You're going to have to give him a 1099 with that. He's going to have to declare that for his taxes.
I downloaded 1099 form on good quality paper with clean ink. I gave it in. You didn't have to go online for the
Oh, you even included. That's very thoughtful. I appreciate it. I was yeah. I just want to.
I gave
That
him my
I felt bad for that guy, and I'm glad we're turning that around.
Well, yeah, don't trust me. Yeah, I gave him my tax lawyer's information, help him out, maybe save a few percent at the end of the year.
Okay.
I sent my apology to him.
Who? Okay.
Who's what? Like,
Who's your tax lawyer? Why do you have a tax? You have a tax lawyer, not just an accountant.
Well,
What is
yeah.
the? Because this is why you need legal representation, because you just insult. You're punching down, Stefan.
Every year I get brought into the judge, and they're like, Stefan, you're paying 3% taxes? And I was like, my tax lawyer will explain why. Because I'm hiding it in the Caribbean. I'm hiding it.
Okay.
It's in the Caymans. All my money's in all the Schütze boys' money's in the Caymans.
Oh my God.
Anywho, that's neither here nor there. Forsberg, fan favorite. Seb S. Love Forsberg already as a fan
I
favorite.
mean, what's
He's
not to
playing
like
a-
about that guy?
And you know what the thing that happened that I wanted to happen was I wanted Lewis Morgan to come back, to like show
And
up.
that's yeah, and he
That's
is.
happening. He had a great game. He played 75 minutes. You know, he's still getting healthier and whatnot. You know, our boy, everything is coming up Red Bulls right
It's
now.
all
Our
clicking.
players- what's his face, McGee? Elias Manuel had the assist, a great assist. Did you see our first goal?
I mean, he's obviously he's benefiting from having these other dudes around him.
Yeah, I mean, Elias Manuel, I've criticized his finishing, but it was, who was it? Was it
Turns
Edelman?
out it's easier to play with Emil Forsberg and Lewis Morgan than it is with Tom Barlow.
That's true. It was, I want to say Frankie Maya took the ball, two steps, two touches, and forwards it up to Elias Manuel. Elias Manuel immediately on to Emil Forsberg. Quick pass. On to Emil Forsberg. And he just opened up Forsberg. Forsberg two touches in, crosses it right in for Lewis Morgan, I believe, to finish, right? I'm trying to think if I remember the goal. Yeah, I think it was Lewis Morgan's goal. Yeah, Lewis Morgan finishing, I think. Probably. Let's pretend that was true. And then they just dominated that game. They won 2-1. Jesus Ferreira got themselves a great free kick goal. Good for him. Because Emil Forsberg was really, really close again scoring off the free kick in this game. He got it through the wall. But the keeper had a great save. But we won. It was a torrential downpour like all over the Northeast. You saw the images in Philly. They had that big game. And then, in the rain, the boys partied hard, played hard. They played for each other. They played for the coach, and they won 2-1. It is the best start to the season since 2020. And I hope that doesn't mean a pandemic is about to happen.
Oh, God, come on.
2020 never finished. But it's the best start since 2020. It is polar opposite from a crappy start last year under Baldy McGee, Mr. Clean.
And our people are showing up. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of this game, but I saw people in the stands with their shirts off, freaking out.
Yeah. The supporters section is more full than we remember. Good, because essentially the big picture here is the team has been losing fans because the team has been dying.
And the Messi effect is helping everybody, I guess. Maybe
Messi announced that he will not be part of the Inter Miami squad that will be facing the New York Red Bulls in 2 weeks or whenever that is. I don't know when they're playing. So like the Red Bulls fans, there will not be a pink plushy Messi fan brigade in the stadium that day. So win-win. The New York Red Bull Stadium just...
Oh, he already said that? Oh, that's funny. A friend of mine tried to get me to go to that game, and I was like, I don't know.
So, the New York Red Bulls did install these new super bright lights, which apparently are too bright. The fans were not crazy about them, but we'll see. They have these new fun lights that do these, like Gladbach. They're like on and off, and lasers and crap. So that's fun. Seba, were you at the game? Did you see the new lights that we're talking about? Here we go. Seba S. Stefan, you might not agree with me, but I personally like Sandro Schwartz over Troy Lesesne. Yeah, no disrespect to Sandro Schwartz. So I just like what Troy did because he was such a nobody. But Sandro, like, he came from nowhere and became like an excellent and he was such a great change from Struber. But Sandro Schwartz, this is the big thing. The New York Red Bulls are always known for their high press. So we got that identity back. But you know what the New York Red Bulls are also doing under Sandro? They're controlling the tempo of the game. It's their game. In the past, it was always high press, turn it over, and hop on them when they make a mistake. We're still high pressing, but we're also controlling the game. It's our game. So Sandro is doing this great thing. And then when you ask him about it, he'll be like, yeah, we're happy with X, Y, and Z. He's usually happy with the first half and the second half. But then he mentions we still need to work on this, still need to work on that. And I love it. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what we still need to work on. But it's only one or two things. All the players are healthy, happy, playing for each other, and playing for their new coach, Sandro Schwartz, who's starting off with a bang. And all is well in the New York Red Bulls camp right now. Seba S., I did the new lights and the fireworks. Yeah, how were the lights? Tell me everything about the lights. That was part of sort of
the lights. They have lights in New Jersey now. Amazing.
They have bright lights.
Bright lights. Speaking of, our stadium is entering the final phase of approval. Tomorrow there's a city council hearing. It looks like in the next couple weeks we're going to have some progress in that regard. The
new renderings look pretty cool. They had some.
Oh yeah, the cube. You've seen the cube.
The only problem is in the rendering, a fat family walks in the stadium, and let's hope in real life there's no fat people in the stadium. That's all I want to say.
There's what? No what?
In the stadium renderings, right up front, you see this fat family like walk in, like a fat kid.
Oh,
let's hope in real life there's prettier fans. There's better looking fans walking the stadium. That's all I want to say.
In this latest batch of renderings, they had adult players on the field. There was a previous rendering where the players were they looked like 3-year-olds. The players it's like, oh, we're gonna have all these people looking at these children playing.
That's the U.S. Open Cup game, though. So I don't mean to fat shame, by the way. I'm just making fun of myself, okay? I'm just joking. Everyone's a beautiful little flower. I hope they all...
Everybody's invited to the new stadium. You don't have to be a certain weight or anything. It's like everybody's welcome. And the stadium renderings look good. The city council is probably going to approve it soon. CEO Brad Sims is excited and running victory laps. I mean, he's got to be happy after getting dicked around for years by the Yankees and the city, and now it's finally happening. He must be very happy. He said something funny though about how this stadium is going to integrate seamlessly into the neighborhood, much like Fenway Park or Camden Yards. And he was mentioning these places. I was like, what neighbor? There's no... I guess if you want to make sure that your stadium integrates well into the neighborhood, the best way to do that is just to build the stadium first and then build the neighborhood after, and then you can really... Because there's nothing...
bulldozing a bunch of mechanic shops.
There's nothing there. Yeah, that was the other thing. He was saying that how really it's important to preserve the neighborhood vibe, and I was like, oh, then they can just play the the local public TV commercials of the chop shops on the cube as you walk in, and then you get a real feel for the neighborhood.
It does look cool. It does look cool. However, I wish moving forward we would build bigger stadiums. It's just a side thing. It is cool you're getting the stadium stuff, but with
Bigger
20%,
stadiums? Why do we need bigger?
Because we need 35,000 seater stadiums, not 25,000 seaters.
We do not. Where is your evidence?
My evidence is the fact that we have teams that can pull in that kind of average, and we need to pack bigger stadiums.
Okay.
Ticket prices are too expensive. They're too in demand. It's definitely a thing. Here in LA, both teams could use another 10,000 seats.
Oh,
That's all I got
interesting.
right now.
The
Maybe New York
Galaxy?
is not there. Yeah,
The Galaxy sells out every game?
not every game, but
Well,
anywho.
all right.
Anywho.
I mean,
I just think you got to reach for the stars a little bit. Come on now, let's make it happen. Next step.
oh, but that's...
But anyway, it looks great. I don't want to poo-poo. Okay, Seba S, I love the new lights.
Already
Felt great.
making plans for 2027. I love it.
Going to the stadium 2027. I love it. Okay, so New York Red Bulls
The
thumbs up.
future is bright. The present, not as much
Well, for
for
us,
my team. But also, again, I was a little bit down last week on MLS and the Don Garber shenanigans, and I guess maybe it's also maybe I'm happier because I wasn't listening to the state-sponsored media on Apple. I was just in the stadium watching the game, and I mean, it is cool that you just don't know. Toronto, you would think I would not have bet any money on them being any good this season, and maybe they are. Columbus is struggling. Montreal, the first team to beat Miami, would I have put any money on that? No, I would not have. I did think Colorado might struggle though with their lineup, and it seems like they might be. But it is so interesting. You really just don't know. I mean, there really is no other league.
who else doesn't know?
That I follow where you really, it's just so hard to predict.
Right, you can't predict MLS. It's just a buy, and they make it that by design. But you know who else doesn't know? And I just want to. Okay, where do I even start? I want to give ourselves a pat on the back.
Okay.
And I want to give
Great.
the other 100 to 200 other fan-run podcasts about this league also a pat on the back. And you mentioned Blue Balls earlier.
Yep.
And Blue Balls reported. What were they reporting? Remind me. The Blue Balls.
Well, they had some quotes from Keaton Parks that had some juice.
Independent media. We're fighting the man, and we're bringing the story, and we're offering the discourse. We are uncensored. We are the only true free press related to Major League Soccer. Because although you were down last week, the theme of this show, as I'm sure you saw by the thumbnail, and for the listeners out there, I'm surprising Bjorn with this. I don't know if you know this story. It turns out it's getting worse. There's been a really weird thing this offseason about what MLS has kind of been up to. Now, it's been like this for a while, but there's clearly a heightened thing going on. There's a little more focus going on how they deal with their media, Apple, the U.S. Open Cup stuff. There's a lot of weird behind-the-scenes brouhaha that the people aren't liking. Now, the latest specific story, we're going to talk about a few things, but the first thing I want to mention is in addition to the state-run television media and radio media, there's also state-run written media, and there's been a little something that happened in Cincinnati this past week. Are you aware?
I don't think. Oh, I did catch it, but like just I need I'll need your summary.
I'll give you the rundown.
Okay.
So MLS has beat writers, but historically MLS has always paid for them. Like the league pays the beat writers, not the newspapers and crap, because they're such a small league. They're getting a little more popular these days, and FC Cincinnati has a couple of beat writers they pay for, but they have 2 independent beat writers that write for them. Independent, which is something we should celebrate. One lady
They write for who? For the.
They write independently. I'm not from Cincinnati. I don't know the publication or what the deal is, but she has a press pass for the league. She has a Twitter account. I mean, I don't know. I could look her up. I don't know who she writes for. Maybe she
Okay.
writes for a Twitter account. But she's an independent journalist who covers FC Cincinnati. And she's not like us, a fan podcast. She has press credentials. Her press credentials were suspended. The league took them away from her. And the reason the league took her press credentials away from her for 2 weeks, it was suspended, was because she shared a story about the real reason why Alvaro Boreal is leaving FC Cincinnati. And the club, FC Cincinnati, released a statement making Alvaro Boreal look bad and making them look good to kind of explain what was going on. Her name is Laurel Failer, I believe. That's how you pronounce it last name. It's a German name, but American would pronounce it Failer.
Pfeiler?
It's Fahler. Fahler.
Pfeiler, okay.
Failer, I think.
All
in
right.
English, probably, right? Anyway, she's like, because she's close to the team, she talks to the players and stuff. So she's like, that's not the story I heard. And she wrote out a story or a tweet, a detailed tweet about how about FC Cincinnati needed the money, and they sold him. He wanted to stay, but they sort of forced him to leave, and then he got more money going somewhere else. So it was like a win-win, and it was sort of a financial situation between the two clubs. Mm-hmm. And that's what she heard and she wrote. And Cincinnati's story was Alvaro Boreal doesn't like Cincinnati. He doesn't get along with anybody here, so he's leaving. But Alvaro Boreal denies that, and she reported that. And now the league has suspended her credentials for 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? It's just the water is getting hotter a little bit as time moves forward, right? Because it's like, we get it, the league controls its own TV, so it's gonna be pro league. And then we realize they got a memo where they're not allowed to talk about the referees, even though that's definitely a
Right.
major talking point, right? And they're not allowed to talk about the U.S. Open Cup, even though that's a major talking point, and all, but whatever. But now the writers who write for the league aren't allowed to talk about that either. And the reason I don't like this story is because she was just reporting the truth of what information she got.
But she works. Who does she work for? She works for the.
She doesn't work for the league. She's independent.
Okay.
I'm gonna Google. I don't know if she works for the Cincinnati paper or something. Hold on, let me look her up right now. Laura Fowler, Cincinnati. But the way it works is beat writers usually work for the league. Like, you get one or two that work for the league, and you're given rules. She wrote a paper. She wrote a story based on the truth of what was going on. Here we go. Laura Failer of the Queen City Press. She writes for the Queen City Press. Queen City Press. Let me look it up. It's probably like the third indie paper of Cincinnati, I would guess, or something like that. Queen City Press. In-depth coverage of FC Cincinnati. So it's a blog, right? Is that what's going on here?
Okay.
Queen City Press. In-depth coverage of Cincinnati. It's a blog, I guess. But, I mean, that's the state of journalism today. She runs an FC Cincinnati blog. And she wrote a story based on independent reporting. And the league suspended her credentials. And the club suspended her credentials. I don't like that.
No.
I don't like that. It's free press. We have First Amendment in this country. You know, you're allowed to call her out by false reporting. That's allowed to happen. And it makes you wonder, if that's true, what else is true? I've heard Max Brados and all these guys who work for MLS and
Well,
Apple.
Herc Gomez lost his credentials, right? Briefly for the for some Miami game. He didn't make the cut, and
Yeah, I think that was a different thing, though. That was related to the fact that it was too popular. So, like,
yeah, but it was also, I mean, it was petty because he's critical of the league and
True.
you know.
No, it's 100% related. And also, Herc Gomez is famous, so he's got pull, so it's hard to suspend him. It's much easier to suspend some bloggers.
Yeah.
And the only reason we know about it is because she tweeted and people shared it, and the word got out independently, thankfully. And that's kind of why I want to echo it as well, because that is what happens, and we need to hear this stuff. Because independent people are the only people trying to find the actual truth about this thing, that we can talk about what's going on, what's actually going on. The depths that they will take to control any information. So earlier what I was talking about was Max Bretos will be like, it'd be nice if we're given access to stories. He's just mentioned that every now and then about how hopefully this Apple deal we have more access to the players, more access to some stories. Because overseas, in the for lack of a better word, in the more traditional soccer spheres, like your South Americas and your Europes and stuff, you hear about everything. Crazy thing players do, crazy things that players tweet, crazy things that players do. We're allowed to hear it all. It's part of the show. It's fun. It's also open press. Steve Cherundolo was fined $10,000 because he felt that the game shouldn't have been played in the snow last week.
Mm-hmm.
They fined him because it was against a league criticism policy.
Well, that happens in every league in the world, actually. Like if coaches talk about referees, or if they people get fined. Yeah, that's a thing.
At most $1,500, something like that. $10,000. That's high.
Oh, I don't.
With our salaries.
I don't have an opinion about that. Okay.
But anyway, it's related, right?
I did not watch a lot. I don't like when my team loses. I don't like to watch a lot of other games, but I did watch some, and it seemed. I also heard there were no replays because of the refs. They were like showing fewer replays on Apple TV to not expose and it seems also that the pro referees are refereeing that there is more other than official VAR reviews, that the pro referees that are the video people are communicating beyond that. They're communicating yellow card decisions and things like that outside of official VAR reviews. So there's some weirdness going on.
Also, the referee was taken away from the Miami game last week because it was discovered that there was a picture of him wearing a Messi jersey. Did you read that story?
I didn't, but I mean that would be true anywhere. Oh, but because these are the scab refs. Yeah.
The scam ref was found to be a huge Messi fan. He has his jersey. And he was about to ref the Messi game.
No,
they replaced him. The only reason we know that is through The Athletic. There is no other source of information for that. You didn't hear that on the broadcast.
Yeah, there's a lot of It's
it's a lot. And then in addition to talk about Herc Gomez, MLS released marketing and PR executives to go on to Football Americas, the only decent North American soccer TV show on TV. That was really to discuss U.S. Open Cup, and they answered no questions and deflected for 20 minutes. And I
saw Nelson Rodriguez on there. He seemed to say some stuff. I mean,
they didn't answer any of the real questions, and it's just part of this.
What are the real questions? What are the real questions that you need answers for?
You criticized the U.S. Open Cup, but wasn't SUM the head marketing of Open Cup from 2003 to 2022? Aren't you the reason it is the way it is? How about that for a question? Bjorn, you.
No, I have to answer.
You're Don Garber. You be Don Garber. Hey, Donnie G, you say U.S. soccer isn't when you want to show soccer, and that leans in MLS too hard. But wasn't it your property for 20 years, and you ran it into the ground? Why didn't you do better?
Ran it into the ground? I think that's unfair. Ran it into. It was never off the ground to be run into the ground. I don't think. I mean, yeah, they're feeling. I think. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to agree with them to understand where they're coming from. I mean, I think it's an incorrect decision, but they're saying, it's not on them to rehab this broken thing. U.S. Soccer has to put some muscle into it, and apparently they have been doing some stuff that the league likes. They're giving more money to the traveling teams, etc., etc. So to be continued. I don't know what the long term. This is not it.
Yeah, but the bigger issue is not U.S. Open Cup topic right now. The bigger issue is how
the media. Yeah, the right. Well, for a long time. I mean, I think it's the same with the salary cap, right? It's all like you have the centralized, because for a long time nobody cared about the league, so they had to make their own. The website. They hired all these journalists and writers to create stuff. MLSsoccer.com was like the main the main kind of clearinghouse for all MLS journalism.
Yeah,
And
never for me, but I mean,
what's that? Well,
Never
I mean,
for
there's
me, but yeah, they never. But that was they need to make their own ESPN FC.
yeah, and they have some, that's where Tom Bogert got his start, and Matt Doyle writes from. These are not all. They're not all terrible. Not all of the stuff that's produced or Extra Time podcasts. I don't know. There were some. It did not have the same Soviet style feel. That, I mean, I agree with you. It seems to be getting worse now that I think, and I don't know if this is because there's a bigger stage or there's.
I think on that, real quick,
there's the Silicon Valley tech people are involved. I don't know if there's a culture, if it's a culture thing, because this was, these were like, they used to be run in New York, and now I don't know. I mean, I think it's still in New York, but they're the culture seems to have changed. It feels more heavy-handed and more sort of Soviet style than it used to be. And yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for the league.
On that, yeah, and I don't. So like Paul Tenorio mentioned, I think it was Paul Tenorio or Sam Stejsko, also both MLS soccer guys that was their first gig, and they worked their way out to be two of the better covers of the league. They said when you get that job at MLSsoccer.com, you assume the league helps you with stuff, and they're like, no, we were hired and we were 100% independent. We had to do our own sources, call the coach. Pretty much they talked about how it's like you have to do all your own work. The league's not helping you. I believe since they signed this Apple deal, that policy has changed. I think things have changed because I used to listen Extra Time. I used to read MLS Soccer. Like I'm right there with you. It didn't feel this way. It didn't used to feel this way.
Yeah.
It's heightened. They're like controlling information.
Yeah, I mean, there were always certain. Yeah, you always
fine.
you
It's the best league in the world. I could watch Santi Rodriguez all day, right, guys?
It's
We're not
like
idiots.
yeah, that was wild.
I just
watch
don't
them all
like
day.
it. I don't like the whole. And then when I saw this report about them now controlling written journalists, I'm like, come on, guys. I mean, there was a time. It was called the Demokratische Deutsche Republik, where you were not, where the state.
Yeah, it's a little.
It was a time. I don't want to see anything like that anymore. Maybe I'm a little extra heated because for German class I had to watch a DDR movie last week, but and there's like way too many parallels.
No, but I mean, it's just this is not. It's just soccer, so it's a little. It's not the whole. It's not the whole country. It's not the whole country yet.
But let the blogger share the truth. What the? Why are you?
Yeah, it's just I don't know what they're so afraid of either. It's like, I mean, I guess with this referee situation is sensitive. It seems like the feelings are quite raw there on both sides. Everybody's very upset, and so it doesn't seem like there is maybe not a quick solution at hand. So. And yeah, that's a real issue. And yeah, but just to be like sweep it, to try to control, it never works. Anyway, I'm just gonna take the tack that this is not gonna work. It's gonna backfire, and these are just growing pains, and eventually it's gonna sort itself out.
I hope so. But also the other thing you said was like, why are they doing it? Like, I think free stories flowing. It's free publicity. All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, and I think it is. Yeah, exactly. It's like nobody wants this sort of sanitized version of like, oh, look, everything is so great, and all the fans, and this is all like but on the other hand, this never works anyway. Like I don't think I don't think in this country, like, people just don't buy it, and it's like, and I think more so than anywhere else, now in the age of social media, people, especially younger people, are so in tune with, when there's BS or if things are just inauthentic like that. I don't think it's gonna fly long term. I think there's gonna be a course correction. I think, or. We're not all children. We don't all need to be told how great everything is.
Yeah, and then there's also just, again, to touch on sort of the rising trend of this, there was a great article in The Guardian this past week about Apple's MLS broadcasts. I decided to read it. A lot of really good information there. And, I think they talked to an exec at Major League Baseball, and they're like, yeah, the leagues don't criticize themselves. So, like, we don't either.
Right.
They talked about a broadcaster being fired for the Tampa Bay baseball team because he said something or something. So there's parallels.
Yeah, no, this is it's a thing. It's definitely a thing, and I guess it's heightened now because of the ref strike and.
However, Major League Baseball and like the Bundesliga in England, they have all sorts of independent
right.
coming their way, So they're allowed to not talk about themselves because so many other established organizations are going to.
Yeah, and I think that's just also going to be part of this growth that
Meanwhile,
that's also the sad part. Everybody we mentioned tonight, whether it's Blue Balls or
MLS only got
the Cincinnati when these people don't make any money,
Right.
much like us. It's just like, yeah, there's no money. So as this all grows, hopefully we're gonna have, there's Paul Tenorio and there's Jonathan Tannenwald of the Philadelphia Inquirer. I mean, there are some people out there.
There's a handful, but they are also denied access to stuff. Like they're being like the MLS really controls their stuff. As far as the great, there's the Athletic with a handful of guys like Tom Bogart's over the Athletic now and Paul Tenorio. Sam Stejsko was great, but he was hired by the league.
Yeah, he works for Apple now, right?
Maybe to shut him up if I wanted to put my tin hat on.
Well, I think he probably also wanted to, he's trying to start a family, make a real income.
And then as far as other than that, you got Steve Goff, the Washington Post. You got Jonathan Tannenwald at the Philly Inquirer. You've got Henry Bushnell, Yahoo Sports does really good work.
Yeah,
but it's really 5 to 10 people at most. I don't want to say
it's
guys.
A small.
It's a small
and a lot of the indie. I was. In New York, we have the Blue City Radio, Blue Balls. There's a lot of people out there, but it's not a money. It's not a job because there's no money.
Yeah, once upon a time, New York Times had a soccer beat writer, John something. Remember his name? John Wall.
Well, the New York Times sports section doesn't exist anymore. It's all the Athletic now. So that's a whole other.
He retired.
But anyway. Yeah. Hudson River Blue. Hudson River Blue is another outlet that's now run on subscriptions. So the people are trying, and so support your independent journalists. That's the message here.
That's all we got as far as the truth goes.
Not us. You can buy a mug and whatnot, but not us. But the actual.
Buy a bucket hat when it comes out. Buy the shirt.
That's right.
I think we have a couple of people here in the chat that bought some items. Thank you so much for that. Let's see.
That's it. We talked about the state. We're talking. We have to
get out of here.
Well, also, yeah. We're gonna be. I mean, we're not gonna just talk about the state-run media and complain about it, but we are gonna keep our eye on it because that is not what we need.
I have to talk about it because it's in the air. A lot of stuff's happening.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Guardian's talking about it. The Cincinnati thing really struck a nerve with me. Because
it's no good.
You're silencing a tiny blogger who's just trying to. She had a Patreon, and apparently, if you dig in deeper, they've criticized her before. When they tried to quiet some racial stuff between the players, she reported it. They quashed it before. So that's and I don't like to hear any of that. Let the free press is free in America. Press is the free press. You're allowed to write whatever.
Yeah, unless she makes stuff up, it doesn't seem like the facts are in dispute.
I wouldn't support that. Yeah, I agree. But if she makes stuff up, she's allowed to make stuff up. She's allowed to get called out for it. She's allowed to be fact-checked, and then she's allowed to lose her subscribers off. You know what I mean? It's part of the freedom of it. So it's just free press is for everybody. You don't have to love it. And if you're the league, my big thing is, let us talk about it. Isn't that free publicity is good for you? Why are you quashing it? I don't know. That's my little rant.
Yeah, there's this the underlying theme seems to be they have very specific opinions about their product and how it has to be presented. And it's I don't know. You can only control that much. But always good to talk to you about it.
Power to the people, man. power to the fans. We need to talk about how we spend our money. You know, I've been hearing that all the season ticket holder packages were really crap this year. I've heard that across the board. You know, power to the people. Power to the people, man. Okay, that's been.
Kind of depends on the people, but okay.
Power to you and me. Power to me.
Power to the people we like.
Power to the fans. Power to the independent journalists getting there trying to tell the truth.
Yep.
You know, the state of journalism today isn't fun, and this doesn't help. Okay, Chips.
But MLS, yeah, season's very interesting. This weekend's going to be big. Can we beat Toronto, please?
No, of course not. Can we beat whoever we're playing next? I always never know who we're playing next. The answer is yes. We're undefeated. Let's go Red Bulls.
All right.
Let's go Red Bulls.
See you next week.